into the text later. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Ajnana Dimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tumeva Madha Chapita Tvameva Tumeva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tumeva Vidyadravinam Tumeva Sarvam Amriteshwari Ma Tumeva Sarvam Amriteshwari Ma Tumeva Sarvam Amriteshwari Ma. Om Amriteshwari Nama. We'll begin with a short meditation. Kindly sit straight and make sure your vertebral column, your spinal column is erect. Keeping it straight helps the mind to fight off lethargy as well as to create lesser and lesser thoughts in the mind because of the flow of the energy, and the energy flow will be much more better if we keep our spine straight, and that's why it's recommended to keep this spine straight. And slowly close your eyes. Try to focus your awareness, your attention on your breathing. Breathing normally, but with full awareness of each and every inhalation and exhalation that occurs through your body. As you watch your breathing process, feel the relaxation that occurs spontaneously along with the observance of the breathing. Feel completely relaxed now. And now we'll chant Om 3 times. As we chant Om, imagine the sound, which is the primordial sound, the sound of the universe, rising from your deep within your navel area and not from your throat. And visualize the sound rising upwards along your spine, cleansing your body, your mind. And as the vibration goes outside of the body, imagine the atmosphere also getting cleansed. Now kindly take a deep breath. feel the reverberations of Om, both internally and externally. Internally meaning your mind and your body. Feel the vibrations of Om and then slowly spreading to the atmosphere around you, and feel the purity, the silence. Now slowly shift your awareness to your breathing. Again, breathing normally. And every time you inhale, feel the sound of the mantra Ma silently along with your in-breath. You can chant along with your in-breath. And Om when you breathe out. So Ma when you breathe in, and Om when you breathe out. Ma is a representation of divine love, and Om is that of divine light. Though you don't have to visualize love and light, you just feel the vibrations and feel the love filling your heart, and the light also filling each and every part of your being as you chant Ma and Om. Now, after chanting Ma, just pause briefly for about 5 seconds, not too long, and feel the silence and the pause between the two, inhalation and exhalation. So please continue like this. Ma. Om. Om. And continue like this. Slowly and slowly, the vibrations of Ma and O become more and more subtle. Rather than the physical sound, feel the vibrations of Ma and Om in each and every part of your being. As the sound deepens, you feel the vibrations of pure love and pure light in your heart. Your heart opens up like a beautiful flower bud that opens into a beautiful, fragrant flower, filling everyone with love and with light. Now imagine a beautiful ray of light going out from your heart to all the beings in this world, just like the rays of the sun. And as the rays fall on each and every being, imagine they also become more loving, more peaceful, more blissful, and more compassionate. And while imagining so, we'll chant the prayer Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu 9 times, which means let all the beings in this world become peaceful and happy. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu 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 Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Om Dhyayamo Dhavla Vagunthanavatim Tejomayim Nashtikim Snigdha Pangavilokinim Bhagavatim Mandasmidashrimukhim Valsalyamritavarshinim Sumadhuram Sankirtanalapinim Shamangim Madhusikta Suktim Amritanandatmikam Ishwarim Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryandam Vande Guru Paramparam Sruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Logashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Bhadarayanam Sutrabhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavandau Punah Punaha Ishwarau Guru Ragmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagini Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Om Amriteshwariyai Namaha Om Amriteshwariyai Namaha Om Amriteshwariyai Namaha. In the last session, we saw the conversation between Sage Narada and Yudhishthira, and so he was asking the Sage Narada as to what are the duties pertaining to the brahmacharyans and vanaprasthas. So, as some of you may not know, in those ancient times, there was only one religion called Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma means eternal duty. So we didn't have different schools of thoughts. It's mostly it originated from Lord. It is said from the Supreme Conscience and from the Lord, and whatever name you can give it. So it started from there, and it was given to the rishis who later practiced it, and not only then they preached, and then they gave it to the people around them in the society. So as I was saying, there were four different types of people in this different sects of people in the society, that is sects, and which is one is the brahmacharis, which is up to the age of 25, and until that they did not get married, or they did not, in those days they did not have girlfriends or boyfriends and all these things. So they were concentrated, so how they should be living, that's what we saw that. And as I was explaining, in those days they didn't also have a formal schooling system, so they would go to the guru's abode, which is known as the Guru Kula. So he says, as far as a brahmachari is concerned, he should stay with the guru in the guru's campus or the guru's abode or the ashram, and he should practice control over the senses. Then he should remain obedient to the guru, then repeat the mantra, and 3 times he should do the oblations, which is the sunrise, noon, and sunset. And during the morning and evening rites, he must observe silence and repeat and meditate on the Gayatri mantra, or whatever mantra the guru gives also. And when the guru calls for him to study, he should learn from the guru the Vedas, and also he was saying that how he should be dressed, that he should wear deer skin as the garment, and he's not going to a barber shop and getting a nice haircut. He has matted locks. Well, you can say he was a hippie at that time. And lay down, which is, they don't want to spend too much time, combing their hair and making it nice and all these things. So that practice, and then what happened is, it also does not make your appearance so good that you get attracted by the opposite sex. So, and in the morning and the evening, they can go and collect alms. Alms means as food from the neighboring areas. And there were also special rules that they should only visit like 4 or 5 houses. It's not like they can visit innumerable number of houses and get whatever they want. If they don't get food from these 5 houses, that means you have to fast. You cannot go and keep begging. So that is the reason. And then, as I was explaining last time, what they do is whenever they get the food, they have to come and give it to the Guru. And I was explaining last time, what the Guru does is, as one of the Gurus I was saying, who was living near the Ganges, the ashram was near the Ganges, he would put all the food that was collected into a cloth, a bag, and just dip it in the Ganges and then give it back to them. So all the spices are washed, there is nothing, there is just pure food alone, and then he will ask them to eat it. And so he's saying that also they should be avoiding songs and poems dealing with affairs of the opposite sex, and there should be a self-control, and they should not allow the Guru's wife or young women to do services to them, like massage or body bathing, anointing. Also, so these are all bad for them. And but what happens is they're saying that good conduct and other virtues and disciplines of the mind should be applied to everyone. It's not only just to the brahmacharis, but also sannyasins and householders. And also he needs to serve the teacher, so give his time for the service of the Guru. And but as far as the householder is concerned, he can serve the Guru occasionally. He can, because he has to take care of other duties, and but he has to take care of his family. But in spite of that, he has to take time off to serve the Guru at least a few days in a week. And so he's also saying that these are the strict rules that who are observing the vow of celibacy, because that's also one of the most important things. Should avoid oil bath, massage of the body, company of women or men, and taking meat and intoxicants. So all these things should be avoided, because all these things would incite the senses and make you want to do things which a person should not do. And so he's saying that living thus in the Guru's household. So in those days, Guru had ashram, means it was their abode, their house. And so the brahmacharins and the students would come and stay there with the Guru. And so that's why he's saying the household. The brahmacharin has to study and reflect on the meaning of Vedas and the auxiliaries and the Upanishads according to his capacity and competence. So then, as he is graduating, he has to give parting gifts to the Guru if he has the means, and he can either take the life of a householder, that is a grihastha, or a vanaprastha, means forest dwelling recluse, and or if he is endowed with perfect renunciation, of a sannyasi. So the Guru chooses whether you should become a vanaprastha or a sannyasin. And if he's fit to become a sannyasin, the Guru gives the robes and makes him a sannyasin. And though the Lord transcends everything and cannot be spoken of as contained in anything, he should still be looked upon as having entered into, and the indwelling, the fire, the teacher, oneself and all beings. So this is one of the most important things when practicing spirituality, not only for the brahmacharis but everyone. So is what he should do. So first thing, he should look at the teacher himself as the supreme conscience, or God, as we say. Then the fire. Why fire is so important to us? It cooks food for us. It does so many things, and then we do offer sacrifices. They do rituals, the fire rituals, where they perform sacrifices, so that through which we are giving oblations to not only to nature but to our ancestors, doing several ceremonies. So that's why fire has such a very important role. So when we offer it to fire, we are offering it as if we are offering it to the supreme conscience. And so he should see. That's what he's saying. Even though they are saying the Lord transcends everything and cannot be spoken of anything as contained in anything. So you cannot say that Lord is as we have seen earlier in the case of Prahlada. Prahlada's father, there is a story of this demon king who was complete atheist, and his son was a great devotee of Lord Vishnu. And so his father would every time tell him not to worship the Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, or any deity for that matter. And the son should worship him as the greatest, which we have seen some of the examples very recently also. We can see that people become so egotistic that they want to be worshipped, and they would be considered as God themselves. And so what happens is, he was telling his Prahlada that he should consider his father as the greatest. But Prahlada did not do that. And finally, his father became so angry and asked Prahlada, "Where is your God?" So he said, "His God is everywhere. God is here, God is there, everywhere. So show me where is your God." So he said, he's here and he's within you. And also, then he got so angry that he said, "Is God in this pillar?" So Prahlada said, "Yes." So he took a mace and beat the pillar, and out came the form of Lord Vishnu, which is in the form of Narasimha, which is half lion and half man, because previously this Prahlada's father had asked for a boon, saying that nobody should kill him. Man cannot kill him, animal cannot kill him, woman cannot kill him, a man. So he was giving all these conditions, which was fulfilled by the Lord. And this was half man, half animal. So he had the head of lion, and he had the body of a human being. And he took him, and he said, "I should not die up in the air or on the earth." So he took him and put him on his lap, and he said he cannot be killed by weapons or fire or air, anything. So he just tore open his heart with his hands. So that's how he died. Hiranyakashipu was his name. So the teaching here is that everything has to be considered. All beings have to be considered as the Supreme Lord itself. And he says, one who lives like this, whether he is a brahmacharin or a vanaprastha or a householder, a sannyasin, becomes enlightened and attains Brahman. So it doesn't matter which path you are. If you consider everything as divine and treat everything as divine and look upon everything as nothing but the divinity, then it will lead you to ultimate goal of realization. And now he says, I'm now going to tell you the duties of the life of a vanaprastha as ordained by great sages. Vanaprastha, vanam means forest, and prastha means one who goes to the forest. So he leaves everything. He leaves his family, he leaves his duties, and then he goes to the forest. And he sits there, and what he does is he contemplates and he meditates and contemplates about scriptures, and then he's sitting and meditating most of the time. So these are the duties of such a person. And so the vanaprastha should not subsist on cereals produced by cultivation. So he cannot take anything, any grains, which is produced by the cultivation of grains. Somebody has what? So what should he do? He should not also pluck and eat before the fruits before they become ripe, the fruits of plants and trees that have become uncultivated. So he has to wait till everything has to become ripe, and then pluck and eat them only after it becomes ripe. You remember, Amma says this, we should not take flowers in the morning. Why? Because there is so much of honey in that, and the bees come to gather honey, and they need the honey. So if we pluck the flowers in the morning, the other beings don't get what they want. And the ants come, the honeybees comes, then the different birds come, right? And hummingbird and all these different birds come and take part in that flower. And that flower is the subsistence of so many beings. So that's why they said, you should not take. And in the scriptures, there is a great sage, because he did not want to take anything from, even from nature. Because, if you think about it, we are always robbing the food of somebody else, either a human being or an animal. When we take, we are taking from either another human being or another animal. So the sage did not want to take anything. So what did he do? So he wanted to take, he has to live on something. So finally he found a method. But what did he do? It was the froth that comes from the calf's mouth after drinking the milk of the cow. He would go and drink that, take that, because anyway that's going to be wasted and falling down into the earth, and nobody is going to take that. So that's how he lived. So you can just imagine how cultured and how compassionate they were thinking about other beings. And he says the person who lives in the forest should not eat things burnt in fire or raw in the natural condition. He can eat fruits ripened in the heat of the sun. So he cannot eat raw fruits, but he can eat ripe fruits. And he should perform the daily yajnas. Yajnas means the religious rites and sacrificial offerings made of naturally grown cereals of the forest. So whatever he gets in the forest, he should do that. And as he gets new fruits, the old ones gathered should be thrown away. So he cannot keep things for himself and say, I don't know whether I'm going to get something tomorrow or not, so I'm going to pluck more fruits. And if he finds more fruits, he cannot hoard it. So each day he has to go and get new fruits and live accordingly. Physically withstanding the inclemencies due to wind, fire, rain, sun, etc., he should maintain a hermitage in a mountain cave with the sole purpose of preserving the sacred fire. So in those days they had the fire burning. So that's why they are talking about preserving the sacred fire. And so the sacred fire in which they do the sacrifices, the sacrificial rites. So he says you can have a shack which will protect from wind, fire, rain, etc. Why? Because to maintain this sacred fire. And he should have matted hair beard, and nails uncut, and physical appearance unattended to. He should carry with him a water pot, skin staff, bar garment, and accessories of fire worship. He should live in the forest for 12 or 8 or 4 to 2 or 1 year in a way that would not impair the strength of his mind. So this is how you should live. Sometime, when we hear about this, we see that, think about how are we going to live like this, right? Some of you might have seen some of the hippies here in, I think Devidas himself was telling his story, when he left, when he was young, before he met Amma, he left everything and he wanted to come and live in the forest, leaving everything. And so this is exactly what was, what we are describing, right? And not having to do anything to find food, but just eating fruits, drinking the water from the stream, and living so naturally. So this is exactly what they are saying. And you can see people do that, especially in India also, even now. The people just living in the forest, eating fruits, and just living in caves in the Himalayas, especially in the Himalayas, where it's very cold. So, and just taking whatever they get. So these are not, I would say this is not a fiction, but still people do that. And when due to old age, this is how he is saying that how should a vanaprastha, that is a person who goes to the forest, face death. That's what he's saying. And I mean, why he's saying is because this is also good for all of us to hear, because when we hear about death, we are afraid, right? And many are not knowing what is going to happen. So we wonder what's the process of death. So there's just explaining. It's nothing big, as Amma says. Death is nothing between, just like a period between two sentences. So you are dropping off one body, and in that period, there is where you are living in the subtle realms, and then you take another body, and you come back. Or if you don't take a body, then you just achieve realization. So he says, when due to old age or disease, he becomes incapable of performing the rites that form his ordained duty, or of pursuing the discipline of knowledge, he should fast unto death. So that's what, it's not suicide. So we have to think that. Why? Because you should not become a burden on another person. So he's saying that if you cannot do it, all these things, it's better to just drop off the body and get a new body. And he should prepare himself for that in the following way. He should withdraw the 3 fires beginning the ahavanya and into his inner self, abandoning his feeling of identification with the body, and dissolve this psychophysical combination called the body into the causal substances of which it is formed, the gross elements into tanmatras, the elements, the 5 elements, the senses, and the mind into the sattvika ahankara. So it is the subtle ego. And a wise man should dissolve the space contained in bodily orifices like ears and nose in akasha. Akasha means sky. So in the air, the digestive power in fire, the fluid substances like blood and phlegm and urine in water, and the rest of the bodily substances in earth. So everything goes back into its own elements. So everything, that's what he's saying. Everything is thus restored to its own source. And the organ of speech, its function should be dissolved in its deity, Agni, that is fire. Hand and its function in Indra. Indra is the king of gods. And leg and its function of movement in that is Vishnu is the preserver and generative organ and its functions in Prajapati. And the aids and its functions should be dissolved in the deity Mrityu, that is death, ears and their function, sound in the deity Diti, and skin and its function, touch in the deity Vayu, that is air. O king, the eye with its function, perception of forms, is to be dissolved in the deity Aditya, that is the sun of sense of taste together with his deity Varuna. Varuna is the god of rain, should be dissolved in water, having the property of taste. So the mind with its functions of imagination and doubt should be dissolved in the deity moon, with buddhi, the intellect with its determinative faculty in Brahma, the creator, and the ahangara, the I sense in Rudra, that is Lord Shiva, and the chitta, the mind stuff, with consciousness in Kshetrajna, the jiva or the individual soul, and that Kshetrajna, that's the individual soul, released from the entanglements of gunas in the Supreme Being. And so he's giving step by step. Why is he giving? Because these are where all these are derived from, or what they subsist because of these subtle forces. Because see, for example, ears we cannot hear without air. And the other thing is, without sun we cannot see. So the deity of our eyes is sun, Lord Sun. And so similarly we can see that all these depend on these different factors for us. And so ultimately this is what he's saying, that earth must be dissolved into water, into fire, fire into air, air into sky, sky into this eye sense, and the eye into the cosmic eye, and then that is the root, the eye, the cosmic eye is dissolved into the Supreme Being. And so the residue is only the self, which is pure consciousness. Knowing him to be the immortal and the non-dual, let there be cessation of inquiry like that of the flame of the fire that has burnt its fuel. So this is what he's saying, how one should ideally pass away from his body. So he is just giving up everything back to the elements with which he is coming from. Normally it does not happen so, because why? We are struggling. We don't want to leave the body. So when we let go of everything, this is what happens. That's what he is. Anyways, this is going to happen because the body is going to back to its elements. And as what it represents, as Amma sings in one of her bhajans, Uripidi charamai mannodu cherunna manuja nee povunnadevide. That is, in India, what they do is they cremate the body, right? And when they cremate the body, it is just a handful of ash. And in the bhajan, it is saying that, oh man, who you are going to become a handful of ash. Where are you going? So that is the question. So this is the process that is being underlined, but don't worry about it because we cannot understand it with the intellect. We have to just go through those experiences. And that is Sage Narada said, if he has become physically disabled by old age and disease and is incapable of following the sannyas way of life, the vanaprastha, that is a person who is living in the forest, may starve himself to death meditating, as mentioned above. So he should meditate. It's not like, as I said, suicide. He's leaving his body meditating. But he's physically and mentally fit for a sannyas in life. He should, after resolving everything in the Atman, the supreme consciousness, wander forth over the world without any special destination.
a sannyasin, what if he becomes a sannyasin? He should just keep wandering. Why? If he stays in one place, then he becomes attached to that place, then he becomes attached to the people there, and then he starts having all sorts of problems. So that's why I said the sannyasin should just keep wandering. And he should carry the body alone with him, stop in no village for more than a day, and depend on no one for anything. As I said, you should just keep wandering and should not stop anywhere, and he should not depend on anybody. And if he does not get any food, that means he should stop. That's a fasting day for him. And if he's particular about wearing anything, it means he can walk without wearing anything. He can have a kaupina, that is a cod piece covering the private parts, and nothing more. That's what it is. Nothing more than that. Except in times of danger, he shall not resume anything that he has abandoned on becoming a sannyasin. So this is the sannyasin's role. But like modern sannyasins like me, if I just wear a loin cloth and wander around me in jail, they'll think that I lost the marbles. I can't do that, so I have to wear clothes. So he can. So that too also, that's why there is only one color for every day, 365 days. So you cannot go into the closet and say, oh, I'm going to wear this color today, a different color. So it's one sense, it's very easy because you go into the closet, there is only one color. So you just put it on and doesn't matter what it is, just wear the same thing. And he can only have the sannyasin's emblems of a staff and a water pot made of shell. So that's what it is. A staff means a pole, a wooden stick with a flag on it. And that is the emblem of a sannyasi. He can carry that and a pot, that's all, made of shell. That too, not brass or anything, but made of shell. And he should move alone, absorbed in the Atman, that is the supreme consciousness, depending on nothing external, friendly to all living beings, and completely resigned to the Lord Narayana, the support of all beings. So what he should do, he should move around, but he should not depend on anybody, but at being friendly. He cannot get angry at people, and he cannot say that, you did not give me food, so I'm going to beat you up. That's not the point. He should see the Lord in everything. And he should view this world as subsisting in the Supreme Spirit, who is nonetheless involved in the cause and effect relation and unaffected by any change or transformation. In everything that is bound by cause and effect relation, one should see the self inseparable from the Supreme Brahman as the indwelling principle. So whether it is changing or unchanging, he should see only the self in everything. So he's saying that whatever happens, you have to accept, you have to surrender, saying that this is the will of the Supreme. And between waking and sleep, there is a junction in which there is neither the unconscious dullness of sleep nor the form-taking tendency of the mind. A close observer of this pure self-awareness will realize the true self as also the apparency of both bondage and freedom. So, he's saying very, very pertinent point here. When you wake up, there is a small window where there is neither the unconscious dullness of sleep, nor what happens, the mind is not taking over a form. So when you open, you're not seeing the form. So there is in a tiny, minuscule second. That's all we have. And if you observe that, if you keep thinking about that, and if you keep observing that, that's what he's saying. That pure self-awareness will release you from both bondage and give you freedom. So that is one of the duties of the sannyasi. And he should not think of the death of his body, which is certain to come, whether one thinks of it or not. So he should not be afraid that and think about, oh, I'm going to die tomorrow or day after tomorrow. We know it is going to come. Nor should he think of the continuance of this life, which is by nature impermanent. So he should not take medicines and think about, I want to live up to 100. So whatever God gives me, just let me live that much. And so that reminds me one of the things. Let him be indifferent to both. So he should not think about death and be rid of it, nor he should cling on to life saying that he wants to live for 100 years. And so let him think of time, which is the Supreme Being himself in the process of bringing out and swallowing everything. So if you take time, what is time? Time is that gives everything, takes away everything. And so he's saying that is the Supreme Being himself, which is doing that process of bringing out and swallowing everything. A sannyasin should not interest himself with the study of subjects that are not concerned with spiritual realization. So he should not study the subject except spiritual subjects, nor should he take up any occupation merely for his livelihood. He should avoid sophistry and those who indulge in vain argumentation, which serves no other purpose than logic chopping. So if somebody comes to, have a debate with you, just run away. You should not just keep debating. And you should not take sides in controversies. So that's another big thing. Whenever there is a controversy, you cannot take sides with one person or one group of people. And you should not strive to attract disciples and followers. So that is another thing. He should not try to become a guru. And why? Because there is a big bag of karma that comes when you attract disciples and followers. And it's that bag, you cannot carry that burden. So that bag, Amma always says this, often says this, that to become a guru is such a big burden. And always she says that don't try to become a guru. And study of many books is not for him. He should not go about giving discourses merely for gaining popularity, nor should he initiate new ventures like starting monasteries or ashrams, etc. And in the case of a great ascetic who has attained tranquility and equability through spiritual realization, adherence to the rules and insignia of an ashrama, that state of life, ceases to be a means for attaining any great end. He may stick to them or abandon them. So it is one who is attained to tranquility and one who has attained spiritual realization. He can have an ashrama, which means he can stick to them and he can abandon them at will. He may appear to others as one without any distinguishing insignia, but with his spiritual aura manifest. He will have wisdom, but look like a child or one intoxicated. He will be full of inspiration, but appear dumb. So you can see this is exactly how it describes Amma, right? Is it a person, a great person like this who has attained liberation? What happens? Sometimes they may appear to be like a lunatic, or sometimes they may appear to be a child. Sometimes they appear to be intoxicated, right? And so what happens? When you see them, you will not understand them, because most of the time they are acting like that, and they have the signs like this to confuse people purposely. Also, I remember in olden times, when Amma used to, when people used to approach her, she used to throw stones or sand at them. Why? She didn't want anybody near her. So she would also scare them away. The people will run away. And in earlier part, like the up to, I think, 1990s, earlier part of 90s, she used to, after bhajan, she used to just run away. And she would roll in the, the water, backwater, and in the mud. And she would just be chanting something. Sometimes she chants something. And sometimes what she does is she cries for a long time. Sometimes she will be laughing for a long time. And she used to do all these things. But now she herself has said that sometimes people are very afraid to come near her because of these signs. So she has controlled herself and reduced all those things. And so why? Now she appears to be dumb. That's what happens. When you go and tell her something, she'll say, oh, yeah, oh, is it like that? And there are people who advise Amma and tell Amma, this is not how it is, that's how it is. So she will just listen and appear as if, she's an idiot. But, Amma knows everything, Amma understands everything and much better than them. And when they recommend something to Amma, Amma knows exactly what to do. Amma knows even though that they are wrong, she does not say anything. She just keeps her mouth shut. So this is the signs of a great being. So a realized being. So that's what he's saying here. And they may, as I said, they may appear to others without anything, any signs, distinguishing insignia. They won't have a halo around them, or they won't be sitting up in the cloud. So if you are searching for such people, it's you're in the wrong place. You won't see anything outwardly. There's not even a single thing that will distinguish them from an ordinary human being. So how do you recognize them? So these are the things that they're saying. If you closely watch them, first of all, they have the same amount of love to all the beings. That is the first and foremost sign. Whether human beings or animals or plants, they have the same amount of love. And second thing, they cannot harm anything. Why? Because they see the extension of themselves in all the other beings. So they cannot harm anything. Amma sometimes may get angry, but what happens? That anger is for a reason, so that her disciples or the devotees would not go and do something wrong. So as Amma says this example, when a cow or a deer comes into your vegetable garden and is about to eat all the vegetables and the plants, you cannot go and tell the cow, oh, my dear cow, please don't eat those plants and please spare them. You have to take a stick and sometimes shout at them. So sometimes she takes that bhava. Even though she takes that bhava, it is also very sweet, because when even her anger is so sweet. And sometimes she will tell us what, and she has to shout to impress our minds not to go do that. But throughout, when she might, the next moment after getting angry, as you know, for most of us, when we get angry, we cannot get over it for at least another 5 to 10 minutes. That is the least amount of time I'm saying. But for many of us, it's a whole day or half a day is gone trying to get over our anger. And so, but next moment she will just turn around and start smiling at a kid or somebody. So we always say that Amma's face, one side is Kali, the other side is the Divine Mother laughing. So half her face, even she shows anger, the other half is always smiling. So, just in conclusion, this is what they are saying about a sannyasin. This is how a sannyasin should behave and how sannyasin's life should be. But if you look at my life, it's not like that. I'm jet setting. Uh, I'm going around, even though I'm not staying in a place for a long time. I keep traveling. And so you might ask this question, why, right? I should be living like that. So there is always exceptions, because when the Guru asks you to do service, seva, that is totally different. And whether you are a sannyasin, whether you are a householder, whether you are a brahmachari, it does not matter. What do you follow? You follow the Guru's advice. And whatever the Guru tells you, that is your path. And even if you are wearing these clothes, it does not mean anything. When I got these clothes, everybody came. I'm not everybody. Many people came and congratulated me and said, "Oh, you got a promotion." I would say I didn't get promotion. I got demoted from being, a nice person and where I could do anything and everything. Now I cannot do any of those things which I'm supposed I would have done earlier, and I have to follow strict rules, and I have to follow a certain path. And so what happens is there is responsibility. Even though I do travel, I do all these things, I have to follow that kind of a inner life, even though I may not be living an external life. My internal life should be the life of a renunciate. And truly, as they say, the other thing about, death, that is one of the other things also. We should not dwell on death. Amma told me that, in one sense, made me realize a couple of times I should have died much longer. And so I'm living on her, the years that she has given me an extra lease. So a couple of times she said, you should have died. And first time was about 15, 20 years ago, when I was having severe problems with my health. And one of the astrologers who looked at my chart at that time, said, you come back after 6 months, and then I will tell what will happen later on. I cannot look at your chart now. That's how he said. That means very gravely, he did not want to tell me that I was going to die. But then Amma, asked me to go through a surgery where my body was cut open. And many people said, this is an unwanted surgery. Why did Amma ask you to go through that? And for no reason, they cut open my body. And so what happened was, everybody said that was a mistake, and everybody was shouting. But I just kept quiet. And then I also started thinking after some time, till Amma said, that was the time, first time. And the second time, when I got sannyasa, Amma said, oh, anyway, this is a kind of death. When you take sannyasa, you're dying to your body. So this is the second time. I got a new lease, another extra few years. Anyway, it does not matter. But it matters to me in the sense that I could do more seva to Amma in this body, even though it is getting, old, and I cannot do things which I was able to do much earlier, in the sense. So, but still, I'm just fortunate enough to continue my seva for Amma, service to Amma, and I can just being fortunate. That's the only goal in life now, to do seva to Amma. And I know that this body can fall anytime, and next moment it can go away. Recently, I just saw one devotee who was attending a meeting, and then He just fell down during the meeting, clutching his heart. And when he was rushed to the hospital, then 2 or 3 days the prognosis came, and they said, you cannot walk for the rest of your life. Just one moment, his whole life changed. But luckily now what happens is because of Amma's Sankalpa, he has slowly started moving his feet, and probably he will become much better. So anyway, he has to retrain himself. So one moment is enough to change your whole life. So we have to be aware of that fact, and so we have to understand that whatever time we get is to be utilized properly for spiritual purposes and doing our spiritual practices, and most of all being in service to others and other beings. So may Amma give us that ability to serve others in the same way that she is serving everyone. Om Amriteshwari Namah. Can you tap your microphones? See if it's on. On. Test yours. It's on.
Om Amriteshwari Devi Mata.
Om Amriteshwari Devi Mata.
Om अनाथरक्षगि देवी माता अनाथरक्षगि देवी माता अनाथरक्षगि देवी माता ॐ अमृतेश्वरि देवी माता ॐ अमृतेश्वरि देवी माता ओंकाररूपिणी देवी माता ओंकाररूपिणी देवी माता अभयप्रदायिनी देवी माता अभयप्रदायिनी देवी माता 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 अनाथरक्षगि देवी माता अनाथरक्षगि देवी माता अनाथरक्षगि देवी माता अनाथरक्षगि देवी माता ॐ अमृतेश्वरि देवी माता कुम्भोदर वरदा गजमुखा शम्कुमारा गणपति भगवन् शम्भुकुमारा गणपति भगवन् गणपति भगवन् शम्भुकुमारा गणपति भगवन्
कुम्भोदर वरदा गजमुखा शम्भुकुमारा गणपति भगवन् शम्भुकुमारा गणपति भगवन्
कुम्भोदर वरदा ऐङ्गर सम्भवा सङ्गडहरणा नल्गदियरुळुग शिवसदना ऐङ्गर सम्भवा सङ्गडहरणा नल्गदियरुळुग शिवसदना അൻപിയലും മിഴി ഇൻപമോടടിയനിൽ ശങ്കര സൂനു കനിയണമേ ശങ്കര സൂനു കനിയണമേ
कुम्भोदर वरदा गजमुखा शम्भुकुमारा गणपति भगवन् शम्भुकुमारा गणपति भगवन्
कुम्भोदर वरदा आदिनाथने भवनदि तरणा करुणामय मय शुभहरे
आदिनाथने भवनदि तरणा करुणामय शुभहरे
आदिनाथने भवनदि तरणा करुणालयमय शुभदहरे
आदिनाथने भवनदि तरणा करुणामय शुभदहरे
पुण्यामृत विघ्नविनाशक कृपयरुलीडुग शुभदहरे कृपयरुलीडुग दुरिदहरे कुम्भोदर
वरदा गजमुखा शम्भुकुमारा गणपति भगवन्
शम्भुकुमारा गणपति भगवन् कुम्भोदर वरदा
Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum.
Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum.
Balakrishnam Vande Jagadgurum.
Balakrishnam Vande Jagadgurum.
Bolo Jai 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 Gopi Sri Krishna.
Bolo Jai 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 Gopi Shri Krishna.
Bolo Jai 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 Gopi Sri Krishna.
Bolo Jai 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 Gopi Shri Krishna.
Bolo Jai 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 Gopi Sri Krishna.
Bolo Jai 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 Gopi Shri Krishna.
Bolo Jai 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 Gopi Sri Krishna.
Bolo Jai 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 Gopi Shri Krishna.
Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum.
Balakrishnam Vande Jagadgurum.
Devaki Tanayam Yasodabalam.
Devaki Tanayam Yashodabalam.
Devaki Tanayam Yasodabalam.
Devaki Tanayam Yashodabalam.
Radha Vilolam Manasachoram.
Radha Vilolam Manasachoram.
Radha Vilolam Manasachoram.
Radha Vilolam Manasachoram.
Bolo Jai 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 Gopi Sri Krishna.
Bolo Jai 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 Gopi Shri Krishna.
Bolo Jai 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 Gopi Sri Krishna.
Bolo Jai 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 Gopi Shri Krishna.
Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum.
Balakrishnam Vande Jagadgurum.
Vedanta Saram Gidopadesham.
Vedanta Saram Gitopadesham.
Vedanta Saram Gidopadesham.
Vedanta Saram Gitopadesham.
Gidopadesham.
Gitopadesham.
Gidopadesham.
Gitopadesham.
Purnavadaram Krishna Gopalam.
Purnavadaram Krishna Gopalam.
Purnavadaram Krishna Gopalam.
Purnavadaram Krishna Gopalam.
Sadhu Samrakshanam Radhe Gopalam.
Sadhu Samrakshanam Radhe Gopalam.
Sadhu Samrakshanam Radhe Gopalam.
Sadhu Samrakshanam Radhe Gopalam.
Bolo Jai 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 Gopi Sri Krishna.
Bolo Jai 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 Gopi Shri Krishna.
Bolo Jai 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 Gopi Sri Krishna.
Bolo Jai 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 Gopi Shri Krishna.
Bolo Jai 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 Gopi Sri Krishna.
Bolo Jai 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 Gopi Shri Krishna.
Bolo Jai 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 Gopi Sri Krishna.
Bolo Jai Jai
Krishna Vande Jagadgurum.
Balakrishna Vande Jagadgurum.
Bolo Jai 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 Gopi Sri Krishna.
Bolo Jai 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 Gopi Shri Krishna.
Bolo Jai 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 Gopi Sri Krishna.
Bolo Jai 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 Gopi Shri Krishna.
Bolo Jai 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 Gopi Sri Krishna.
Bolo Jai 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 Gopi Shri Krishna.
Bolo Jai 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 Gopi Sri Krishna.
Bolo Jai 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 Gopi Shri Krishna.
Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum.
Krishna Vande Jagadgurum.
Balakrishnam Vande Jagadgurum.
Balakrishna Vande Jagadgurum.
Govinda Jai Jai Gopal Jai Jai.
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 Gopal Jai Jai.
Gopal Jai Jai.
Govinda Jai Jai.
Govinda Jai Jai.
Govinda Jai Jai Gopal Jai Jai.
Govinda Jai Jai Gopal Jai Jai.
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda 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 Jai Jai.
Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Balakrishnam
Vande
Jagadgurum. Devi Jaganmada, Jaya Jaya Devi Jaganmada.
Devi Jaganmata, Jai Jai Devi Jaganmata.
Devi Jaganmada, Jaya Jaya Devi Jaganmada.
Devi Jaganmata, Jai Jai Devi Jaganmata.
Devi Jaganmada, Varasati Devi Jaganmata.
Devi Jaganmata, Parashakti Devi Jaganmata.
Devi Jaganmada, Varasati Devi Jaganmata.
Devi Jaganmata, Parashakti Devi Jaganmata.
Devi Jaganmada, Jaya Jaya Devi Jaganmata.
Devi Jaganmata, Jai Jai Devi Jaganmata.
Jaya Jaya Devi Jaganmata.
Jai Jai Devi Jaganmata.
Jaya Jaya Devi Jaganmata. जगन्माता वरशक्ति देवी जगन्माता
देवी जगन्माता परशक्ति देवी जगन्माता
നീലക്കടൽ കരയിൽ താപം ചെയ്യും നിത്യ കന്യകയേ
നീലക്കടൽക്കരയിൽ തപം ചെയ്യും നിത്യ കന്യകയേ
നീലക്കടൽ കരയിൽ താപം ചെയ്യും നിത്യ കന്യകയേ
നീലക്കടൽക്കരയിൽ തപം ചെയ്യും നിത്യ കന്യകയേ
മാറിക്കുമാരിയമ്മ എനക്കു നീ വധുവരം തരുവാ
മാറിക്കുമാരിയമ്മ എനക്കും വധുവരം തരുവാ
മാറിക്കുമാരിയമ്മ എനക്കു നീ വധുവരം തരുവാ
മാറിക്കുമാരിയമ്മ എനക്കും വധുവരം തരുവാ
ജ്യോതിസ്വരൂപിണിയെ ജ്ഞാനമയ സുന്ദര രൂപിണിയേ
ജ്യോതിസ്വരൂപിണിയേ ജ്ഞാനമയ സുന്ദരരൂപിണിയേ
ജ്യോതിസ്വരൂപിണിയെ ജ്ഞാനമയ സുന്ദര രൂപിണിയേ
ജ്യോതിസ്വരൂപിണിയേ ജ്ഞാനമയ സുന്ദരരൂപിണിയേ
സത്യസ്വരൂപിണിയെ സ്വയം ശക്തി ആനന്ദരൂപിണിയേ
സത്യസ്വരൂപിണിയേ സ്വയം ശക്തി ആനന്ദരൂപിണിയേ
സത്യസ്വരൂപിണിയെ സ്വയം ശക്തി ആനന്ദരൂപിണിയേ
സത്യസ്വരൂപിണിയേ സ്വയം ശക്തി ആനന്ദരൂപിണിയേ
ദേവി ജഗന്മാത ജയ ജയ ദേവി ജഗന്മാത
ദേവി ജഗന്മാതാ ജയ ജയ ദേവി ജഗന്മാതാ
ദേവി ജഗന്മാത ജയ ജയ ദേവി ജഗന്മാത
ദേവി ജഗന്മാതാ ജയ ജയ ദേവി ജഗന്മാതാ
ദേവി ജഗന്മാത വരശക്തി ദേവി ജഗന്മാത
ദേവി ജഗന്മാതാ പരശക്തി ദേവി ജഗന്മാതാ
നീലക്കടൽക്കരയിൽ താപം ചെയ്യും നിത്യ കന്യകയേ
നീലക്കടൽക്കരയിൽ തപം ചെയ്യും നിത്യ കന്യകയേ
നീലക്കടൽക്കരയിൽ താപം ചെയ്യും നിത്യ കന്യകയേ
നീലക്കടൽക്കരയിൽ തപം ചെയ്യും നിത്യ കന്യകയേ
മാറിക്കുമാരിയമ്മ എനക്കു നീ വധുവരം തരുവാ
മാറിക്കുമാരിയമ്മ എനക്കും വധുവരം തരുവാ
ജ്യോതിസ്വരൂപിണിയെ ജ്ഞാനമയ സുന്ദര രൂപിണിയേ
ജ്യോതിസ്വരൂപിണിയേ ജ്ഞാനമയ സുന്ദരരൂപിണിയേ
ജ്യോതിസ്വരൂപിണിയെ ജ്ഞാനമയ സുന്ദര രൂപിണിയേ
ജ്യോതിസ്വരൂപിണിയേ ജ്ഞാനമയ സുന്ദരരൂപിണിയേ
ജ്ഞാനമയ സുന്ദര രൂപിണിയേ
ജ്ഞാനമയ സുന്ദരരൂപിണിയേ
ജ്ഞാനമയ സുന്ദര രൂപിണിയേ
ജ്ഞാനമയ സുന്ദരരൂപിണിയേ
ജ്യോതിസ്വരൂപിണിയെ ജ്ഞാനമയ സുന്ദര രൂപിണിയേ
ജ്യോതിസ്വരൂപിണിയേ ജ്ഞാനമയ സുന്ദരരൂപിണിയേ
സത്യസ്വരൂപിണിയെ സ്വയം സത്യ ആനന്ദരൂപിണിയേ
സത്യസ്വരൂപിണിയേ സ്വയം ശക്തി ആനന്ദരൂപിണിയേ
സത്യസ്വരൂപിണിയെ സ്വയം ശക്തി ആനന്ദരൂപിണിയേ
സത്യസ്വരൂപിണിയേ സ്വയം ശക്തി ആനന്ദരൂപിണിയേ
ദേവി ജഗന്മാത ജയ ജയ ദേവി ജഗന്മാത
ദേവി ജഗന്മാതാ ജയ ജയ ദേവി ജഗന്മാതാ
ദേവി ജഗന്മാത ജയ ജയ ദേവി ജഗന്മാത
ദേവി ജഗന്മാതാ ജയ ജയ ദേവി ജഗന്മാതാ
ദേവി ജഗന്മാത വരശക്തി ദേവി ജഗന്മാത
ദേവി ജഗന്മാതാ പരശക്തി ദേവി ജഗന്മാതാ
ദേവി ജഗന്മാത വരശക്തി ദേവി ജഗന്മാത
ദേവി ജഗന്മാതാ ദേവി ജഗന്മാതാ
ഓം ശ്രീ മാത ജയ ലളിതാംബ
ഓം ശ്രീ മാതാ ജയ ലളിതാംബ
ഓം ശ്രീ മാത ജയ ലളിതാംബ
ഓം ശ്രീ മാതാ ജയ ലളിതാംബ
ഓം ശ്രീ മാത ജയ ലളിതാംബ
ഓം ശ്രീ മാതാ ജയ ലളിതാംബ
ഓം ശ്രീ മാത ജയ ലളിതാംബ
ഓം ശ്രീ മാതാ ജയ ലളിതാംബ
ഓം ശ്രീ മാത ജയ
Lalitamba.
Om Shri Mata Jaya Lalitamba.
Om Sri Mada Jaya Lalitamba.
Om Shri Mata Jaya Lalitamba.
Om Sri Mada Jaya Lalitamba.
Om Shri Mata Jaya Lalitamba.
Om Sri Mada Jaya Lalitamba.
Om Shri Mata Jaya Lalitamba.
Om Sri Mada Jaya Lalitamba.
Om Shri Mata Jaya Lalitamba.
Om Sri Mata Jaya Lalitamba.
Om Shri Mata Jaya Lalitamba.
Jaya Lalitamba.
Jaya Lalitamba.
Jaya Amritamba.
Jaya Lalitamba.
Om Sri Mada Jaya Lalitamba.
Om Shri Mata Jaya Lalitamba.
Om Sri Mada Jaya Lalitamba.
Om Shri Mata Jaya Lalitamba.
Om Sri Mada Jaya Lalitamba.
Om Shri Mata Jaya Lalitamba.
Om Sri Mada Jaya Lalitamba.
Om Shri Mata Jaya Lalitamba.
Om Sri Mada Jaya Lalitamba.
Om Shri Mata Jaya Lalitamba.
Om Sri Mada Jaya Lalitamba.
Om Shri Mata Jaya Lalitamba. Om Shri Mata Jaya Lalitamba. Om Shri Mata Jaya Lalitamba. Om Shri Mata Jaya Lalitamba.
Om Sri Mada Jaya Lalitamba. Om Sri Mada Jaya Lalitamba. Om Sri Mada Jaya Lalitamba. Om Sri Mada Jaya Lalitamba. Om Sri Mada Jaya Lalitamba. Om Sri Mada Jaya Lalitamba. Om Sri Mada Jaya Lalitamba. Om Sri Mada Jaya Lalitamba. Om Sri Mada Jaya Lalitamba. Om Sri Mada Jaya Lalitamba.
Om Shri Mata Jaya Lalitamba.
अमृतानन्दमयी
मंगल
संदायिनी माता अमृतानंदमयी आनंदमयी शरणदमदायिनी मनलयकारिणी अमृतानंदमयी मम हृदि वसदा देवी अमृतानंदमयी पदिदोद्धार निरंतर हृदये अमृतानंदमयी परमहंस पद निलये देवी अमृतानंदमयी माता अमृतानंदमयी हे जननी जनि मरण निवारिणी अमृतानंदमयी हे श्रुत जन परिपालिनी दयदा अमृतानंदमयी माता अमृतानंदमयी सुरजन पूजित जय जगदम्बा अमृतानंदमयी सहज समाधि सुधन्ये देवी अमृतानंदमयी माता अमृतानंदमयी माता अमृतानंदमयी माता अमृतानंदमयी ओम जय जय जगजननी वंदे अमृतानंदमयी मंगल आरती माधव भवानी अमृतानंदमयी माता अमृतानंदमयी माता अमृतानंदमयी जय बोलो सद्गुरु माता अमृतानंदमयी देवी की असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ओम शांति शांति शांतिः ओम लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु ओम शांति शांति शांतिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम।
Thank you, everybody. Namaskar.